Welcome to the blind battle of the Glenfarclas. I'm your host Sam, and this is Whiskey and SV. All right, we are going to have an exciting episode again tonight. So I have here three different Glenfarclas, and they're all pretty interesting. Actually, the first one that I have here is a independent bottler that's not actually labeled as Glenfarclas. It is an old cask, old malt cask that is bottled by Hunter Laing, I believe. And let's see, is it? Yeah, it is Hunter Laing and Company. And it doesn't really say Glenfarclas on it. It just says distilled at Speyside's finest distillery, which is basically the Speyside's finest is the motto for Glenfarclas. And the place I bought this, which was K&L Wines, they basically confirmed that this is indeed a Glenfarclas, a 32-year-old Glenfarclas, and I think it was a bargain because they don't put the name on it. I think it's teaspooned or they're not allowed to use a name or whatever. So it actually came in at around I think $160, $170, something like that, plus tax. So definitely under $200, which is pretty crazy for a 32-year-old single malt whiskey. And I've tried this before, and it's really, really excellent. Next up in this line, we have the Glenfarclas 25. And this is the cheapest, most affordable, I should say, 25-year-old on the market, probably. It used to be around $150, and now it's, I think, closer to 200 or something like that. But I regularly still see it on sale from like internet wines or places like that for around 150-ish dollars. Um, it is a very underwhelming whiskey. It's 43% ABV. It has some citrus bitter notes that I'm not hugely fond of, versus this one, which is cask strength at 45.8% ABV. Which, yeah, it's this just really bang for the buck. Of course, it's not something you can get all the time, but when I could get it, I got this plus a couple of backups, and I'm very glad to have them. Last but not least, we have the most interesting in the core range for Glenfarclas, which is unfortunately not available in the USA. It is a European release only, and it's the 15 year. And the 15 year is the only core range Glenfarclas that is 46% ABV. It's not 43% ABV like all the other ones in the range, in the core range. Okay, so I'm very excited to blind these to see which one's the best. I think my expectation is that probably the 32 year should come out on top, followed by the 15, and then the 25. That is the order that when I've drank them non-blind, I've kind of had in my mind. I've never done a side by side, to be honest. Um, Actually, that's not true. I did the side by side between the 32 and the 25 before. So yeah, I'm really excited to know which one comes up first. Okay, so without further ado, let's pour these out and get going. Okay, so let's see. Number one goes to the 32 year. Number two goes to the 25 year. And number three will go to the 15 year. And we'll put them on some random order on top of this. Make sure we don't break things. All right, so I'm really excited to see what the outcome here is because, yeah, I've tried these before, and I just have this expectation that the 25 year was really underwhelming. But it's been open for a while now, and I think my first impression were on a fresh crack, and I haven't had too much since then. I think I tried it on one other occasion. Same with the 32 year, to be honest. The 15 year I have a little bit more experience with, but still I don't really. I don't. It's before I was taking like notes really. So yeah, let's see. Okay, so let's get these down and stop this turntable. All right, and let's go. As usual, I will be nosing first um, without tasting, and then I'll taste and I'll tell you my notes. Okay. very fruity note, um, like orchard fruits, more bright kind of type fruits, and some floral notes, some malty characteristics. Yeah, it's just like a fruit basket, just lots of bright green, kind of reminds me of like green apples. Yeah, more like light fruits. Okay, let's see this one. More muted on the nose. A little bit of sherry notes to this. Very faint, but kind of like a second or third fill sherry. I should actually see. Is this have any sherry in it? Sherry maturation. It says one of 153 bottles charged from a refill hogshead. The single cask was distilled December 1989 and bottled in January 2022. Very very cool bottle. Okay, so I'm not sure. I think I got a little bit of sherry in this one. Let's go to the last one. Interesting. I get quite a bit of sherry in this one as well. Yeah, very. These two are more similar, I think. This one is very much its own beast. It's just got lots of like fruits and yeah. Okay, I think on the nose I prefer this, and I'm pretty sure it's a the independent bottler, the 32-year-old. Between these two, this is much more muted. Yeah, I prefer this one. If I was to guess, honestly, I would say that the muted one is the 25 year because it's only 43%, and I was underwhelmed by it before. So I think like probably the more potent, second fill kind of sherry type nose is the 15 year. So far the guess is 32, 25, and 15. So uh, I'm gonna start by the middle one because it's the seems to be the more muted one and the one that's more probably will blow out my palate the least. Interesting. Yeah, so straight up on the palate, there's a little bit of bitterness that follows, and then there's like some fruity notes, kind of sherried fruity notes, but like very mild sherry, and then some spices like ginger spice, that type of Macallan type spice, and yeah, and then it just kind of dies out. I had a very small sip though, so let me check another one. So the fruity notes are very much accompanied by bitter oak and some spices, and yeah, maltiness definitely there. Very absolutely no hints of peat in this, but it's yeah definitely a lot of like fruity notes plus kind of like mild cherry notes, uh, plus yeah your general Scotch profile that's non-peated Scotch profile, like lightly sherried type profile, um, which is a Speyside specialty, I think. Okay, so let's try this one, which I think is the sherry on this is actually a lot more apparent than that one. Okay, so yeah, it's generally more lively. There's a little bit of a fizzy note to it. The flavors are a bit more bold. Um, very similar profile though. I would say there's not too much difference between these two. Um, I have a slight preference for this one. I think it has less of the bitter oaky notes. It still does have some oaky notes, but the oaky notes are not bitter. The spices are a bit stronger as well, I think. Yeah. Okay. Last but not least, the thing that I think is my favorite. Maybe I should have gone for my favorites first. Yeah, this one has a definitely a different nose. Has a bit of a creamy, waxy feel to it as well, which is rare for a Speyside. Um, yeah, a lot more fruits. The fruits are more like the red. Sorry, not more like green and orange rather than red. So I'm thinking like apples and what else? Like maybe pear a little bit. Some tropical fruits as well. Very mild though. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Quite substantial arrival. Um, just lots of fruits and pleasant aftertaste. It doesn't have the bitterness that this one has. It's very just like fruits hit with like spices, and then it's mouthwatering, and yeah, it just like settles down, and some oak comes out, but the oak is not like bitter. It's just like you're just aware of it because it's like more of a drying note kind of thing. Um, yeah, I really really like this one. I think just going on these short impressions, definitely number one, both on the nose and on the palate. Number two, pretty close, I think, in just a very different profile, but more like a sherry profile. I think this one, um, but less of the bitter notes. And this is the least favorite. Much more muted on the nose. Some kind of like bitter notes that I'm not a huge fan of. Yeah, now some like citrus notes undertones, like a lemon or lime skin kind of note where it gets bitter. Okay, so let's see. What is this one? Number three. Oh wow, this is the 15 year. The What I thought is the 32 year is actually the 15 year. That's crazy. Wow, I am very surprised. I think I'm gonna need to get some of this 15 year because it's actually impossible to get in the US, and I had to import this from the UK. Um, and it's currently a pretty reasonable price. It's like not very expensive, but it's definitely um, you know one of those things that I think for the price is really amazing. Okay, so by far my favorite is the 15 year. Let's see what's number two. Okay, this is number two. So this is the 25 year. Hard to see. This is the 25 year. So as I thought, the 25 year is the least favorite. It's like kind of like got that bitter notes, and it's not very potent on the nose. Just like not very like memorable, honestly. And last but not least, this should be number one, and it is, yeah. So yeah, this, as I said, these two are favorites, but given that this is probably maybe even a third of the price of this, and is actually widely available, I think like you should go out there and find a way to get yourself the Glenfarclas 15 year because it is an absolute banger of a product, and for the price, which I think it finished at around $80, and yeah, it's really something special. Um, Let me do one more. Yeah, I'm very surprised though. I would have thought that the wait, number one. Yeah, yeah, I would have thought like that the 32 year should have more of an orchard notes, less sherry, and it's the opposite. Man, this 15 is really really great. That's excellent. That's also really good. If I'm fair, this is probably more pleasant. This is a bit more complex. So, but then after blind, take that with a grain of salt. Okay, so thanks for tuning in again. I hope you learned something. I did, certainly. And I hope to see you next time. Cheers.